Hey guys, it's your ever-loving nerd Celestia Lambert here, and I want to talk Fire Emblem. Specifically, Three Houses. See, I've been playing it again as of late, and I thought, you know what? I should make a video talking about this game. And so, here we are. Now, it is by no means perfect, no game in general can be, but in my opinion, it's pretty darn good. And in this video, I'm gonna kind of spitball / theory craft, because there are some things that I recently found out, and oh boy, did it get my brain working. Now, let me preface this by saying that I'm currently on my second Black Eagles / Crimson Flower run. My current mission is to protect the Garagmak Monastery from Flame, Shamir, Alois, and Sedith, but that's not truly important. I just kinda wanted to let y'all know where I was in the game. Those Black Eagles, and more specifically Edelgard, do factor into this video, as do Dimitri, and to a lesser extent Claude as well. You'll see why as the video goes on. So, while playing BE/CF, it's revealed to Violet, and by extension the player, that Edelgard had 10 siblings in total, 8 older, 2 younger. Though out of all of them, only she, the 9th child and 4th daughter of Emperor Ionius IX, remains. In Imperial year 1171, at only 9 years of age, she was whisked away to the Holy Kingdom of Fargus and its capital Fridiad by her uncle, Lord Volkard von Arundel. Her mother, Anselma von Arundel, had fled to the kingdom, most likely long before her daughter and older brother showed up, because by the time they got there, she was already married to King Lambert and had had Dimitri. For 3 years they stayed there in Fridiad, Edelgard and Volkard, throughout which she met and befriended Dimitri, who gifted her a dagger upon her leaving Fridiad to return to the Eurasian Empire in Imperial year 1174, though they never learned that they were step-siblings until years later. It was also during this time, when Edelgard was in the kingdom, that Fargus's court mage and fellow Adressian Cornelia had somehow been notified that the 9th in line to the imperial throne, Princess Edelgard, was in Fridiad. She, Cornelia, had used this knowledge to ever so slowly whittle down Anselma, who at this point in time was going under the alias of Patricia and had married King Lambert. Far enough to where she was willingly cooperating with the true culprits behind the tragedy of Duscur that happened 2 years after Edelgard and Volkard had already gone back to the Empire, in Imperial year 1176. It was upon their return to the Empire, the duo of niece and uncle, that the experimentations upon her and her siblings began, with all 10 of her siblings either passing on or going insane. And here's where we finally get to the spitball / theory crafting part of the video. See, Anselma / Patricia, whichever you want to call her, had never known throughout all their time there that her older brother and daughter were within arm's reach. It was only after they had already left that she found out, thanks to Cornelia claiming that her then-husband Lambert knew that they were there and had kept it from her. This knowledge turned Anselma / Patricia against her husband, and may have indeed caused her to willingly cooperate with the folks who were truly behind the tragedy of Duscur, even though, as said tragedy finally happened, she, Anselma / Patricia, and her carriage were nowhere to be found. Thanks to that being a thing, it was long believed that she had died during the tragedy. But certain details about the entire shebang, which are brought up at some point during Azure Moon, started raising some doubts. It was only on Cornelia's deathbed that those suspicions were confirmed. See, she had claimed that Patricia was so desperate to reunite with her daughter, Edelgard, that she would do anything to make it happen, including killing King Lambert and his own family. She then further taunted the D-Man, Dimitri, claiming that his own mother had never truly loved him. Now her fate, Patricia's that is, after the tragedy of Duscur, is never revealed. However, certain forces, those who slither in the dark, aka the Agarthans, were involved with the tragedy of Duscur, and at some point in time, the actual Volkard von Arundel was assassinated, and replaced by their leader, Thales, which suggests that the same may have been done to Anselma/Patricia, and the double was planted in the kingdom to enact the tragedy of Dusker, while the original was perhaps killed or something. I mean, we never, and I mean never, find out what truly happened to her. As for how Claude is involved in all of this, you thought I had forgotten about him, didn't you? Well, his noble house, House Regan of the Leicester Alliance, is actually an offshoot/cadet/side branch of the Bladed Loyal family. So, once Claude, heard about the tragedy of Dusker, and this is now going into my own personal headcanon, he would have wanted to check up on his distant relative, but he never got the chance to, until he showed up at the Officers' Academy at Garreg-Mach Monastery, where his distant relative was also going to school. See, as I had said earlier, Claude and Dimitri are indeed distant relatives, meaning that their families had to have known each other at some point before the Alliance had split away from the kingdom. So when Claude heard about the tragedy, he probably would have dug through the family tree/archives and would have found out about the connection to Dimitri, would have gone to seek him out, but he wouldn't have been able to find him until Imperial Year 1180, when all 3 future leaders are enrolled at the Officers' Academy. He then would have probably told Dimitri about their connection on the sly, but I think he would have asked him to keep it a secret from everyone. The two of them, on their downtime, before the war that is, would have also done some more digging into Claude's family tree and found out that he's also related to Lug, the founder and first king of the Holy Kingdom of Fargus, as well as Kings Klaus I and Lambert, making the scene in Golden Deer, where Claude, Catherine, and Byleth are talking about the tragedy of Dusker, that much more impactful. However, there's a damaged book in the Shadow Library of Abyss called Burnt Remnants of a Report, which might paint a dark picture on that connection. Though, before I bring up what it insinuates, we need to talk about 2 of the people I just brought up, specifically Kings Lug and Klaus I. King Lug, as I said, was the founder and first king of Fargus, as well as being the descendant of the legendary hero Bladed of Nemesis' 10 elites. He quarreled with the Dresden Empire in the War of the Heroes, but, most notably, in Imperial Year 747, he raised an army to demand independence from the Empire, inciting the rebellion that would later come to be known as the War of the Eagle and Lion, in which he was aided by his sworn friend Kaifan and an advisor, Pan. For 4 grueling years the 2 armies battled, until, that is, Lug and his resistance army emerged victorious in Imperial Year 751, winning the final battle at the Tailtean Plains. The Church of Zeros then intervened, with House Charon from the nation of Charon, which is southeast of the Holy Kingdom, serving as mediator, which resulted in the founding of the now independent Holy Kingdom of Fargus. King Klaus I, on the other hand, reigned as king until his death in Imperial Year 861. His 3 sons, princes, each having a competing claim to the throne, agreed to become archdukes and split the kingdom between them into 3 separate territories, being the Eastern Kingdom, the Western Kingdom, and Leicester, the latter of which had been annexed from the Empire by Fargus after a rebellion in year 801. This arrangement precipitated Leicester's secession from Fargus after the death of its Archduke in year 881, and the formation of the Leicester Alliance in year 901. Now we get to those insinuations from the Burnt Remnants of a Report that I brought up. See, in that, it's suggested that Lug had enlisted the help of those who slither in the dark to truly achieve victory in the War of the Eagle and Lion that he's most well known for. And where Klaus I is concerned, it states that he was likely assassinated, and that his will, demanding the kingdom be divided among his heirs, is a fake. Byleth would find this information out upon visiting the Shadow Library for the first time, and would probably run to Claude and Dimitri with these bits of news, surprising the both of them, and making specifically Dimitri question his seemingly blind loyalty to the church. He would want to go to Edelgard first and then Rhea with these bits of news, and ask/demand to know what's truly going on. But at the behest of both Claude and Byleth, wouldn't, and would instead keep it close to his chest, coming into Claude's aid in the war phase post-time skip portion of the game, in going against Edelgard, and upon rescuing and subsequently questioning Rhea about the truth of the world, Dimitri would, at that point, demand to know if the burned remnants of that report he'd heard about 5 years ago from Byleth themselves was true. Whether or not she would confirm or deny the validity of said remnants, who knows? Alright, now that the spitball/theorycraft portion of the video is done, time to kinda rant about some things in the game that I don't quite like. First off, the admittedly little LGBTQ+ representation there is in-game. There are only 10 relationships in total that are same-sex. Fembyleth gets Edelgard, Dorothea, Mercedes, Rhea/Saros, and Sothis. Male Byleth gets Linhardt, Alois, Gilbert, Yuritsa/Emil, and Yuri. 4 of those relationships are from the Black Eagles. Edelgard, Dorothea, Linhardt, and technically Yuritsa/Emil. 1 is from the Blue Lions, Mercedes. Yuri is the leader of the Ashen Wolves, and the final 4 same-sex relationships are all from the Church. Alois, Gilbert, Rhea/Saros, and Sothis. Of these 10, I've only done Edelgard's, Dorothea's, Mercedes', and Linhardt's. Those 4 are the only ones that feel natural/right to have gone through in my eyes. Alois and Gilbert, from what I can tell, turn out to be more platonic than full-on romantic. Yuritsa/Emil truly only lives to cut Byleth down. Sothis is designed to look like a freaking kid, so there's no way I'm touching that one. And Yuri, I honestly haven't seen how his romance plays out, so once I'm done with my current run, I'll probably eventually start up a new Black Eagles/Silver Snow route as a male Byleth, recruit him, and see how that one plays out. Don't know yet. Another thing I don't really like is how broken/jaded Dimitri gets post-time skip. Like, I get it. He was the sole survivor of the tragedy of Dusker, and to have to revisit that horrid memory, even through flashbacks after the events of the Ramire Village incident, he snaps so intensely after the Flame Emperor reveals themselves. I mean, considering who it is, I kinda get it. To me, they just really poured sad/insane Dimitri down my throat post-time skip. Sorry about all that. Just, again, my brain got to working and bugging me to no end once I found out about all of these connections. So I decided to make a video and just, again, kinda spitball/theorycraft and maybe go on a bit of a rant there at the end. But yeah, that's been my first Fire Emblem video. Will there be more? Will I eventually stream it? Who knows? But for now, I'll leave you all with this. Three Houses, well, again, not a perfect game. Again, no game in general can be. It's still, in my opinion, a solid 7, maybe 8 out of 10. Would I recommend picking it up if you haven't already? Absolutely. It's an enjoyable ride, both for Fire Emblem veterans and newcomers alike. Plus, if you've played Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and have Fighter Pass 2, then more than likely, that's where you'll recognize Byleth's theme from. But I digress. Next week, I'll be back to streaming with more Skyrim, so be on the lookout for that. Until then, keep on keeping on, stay safe, be good people, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Later!